Hello, hello, welcome to Conversations with Sophia4Christ. I'm very happy that you're here. The mission of this platform is to share content that enlightens and empowers you to go forth and fulfill your divine purpose and be your best in every area of your life. Welcome. So, we are going to begin a new Man of Purpose series. We've had several. And we're going to consider for this series our first topic, setting a strong foundation for marriage and family. Because what I find is that in Christendom especially, we focus a lot on what our sisters in their singlehood should be doing to prepare for marriage. And there's very little out there in terms of the practicalities of what our brothers should be doing in terms of that preparation process. And given that the enemy has decided that he is fighting marriages, the very definition of marriage, fighting families, and all of these things, and we understand that a godly marriage leads to, of course, it's a foundation for a godly family. And when you have a series of godly families, then of course the church is strengthened. So the enemy's agenda is very strong against that. So that's why we're going to be discussing under the Man of Purpose series that whole matter of preparation from the male perspective. Now we have an esteemed guest this evening to share his wisdom on this topic, because obviously I'm not a man, so I can't share any wisdom on that. But I will now make the formal introduction. Let me just bring up my esteemed guest. So we have Elder Lerone Palmer. Of course, I'm going to refer to him as Sir, because the convention is we're all royals. And of course, the Lord said, refer to my male guest as Sir, the female guest as lady. So I'm going to now introduce Sir Lerone Palmer. Sir Lerone Palmer was baptized at the Emmanuel Apostolic Church, Slipe Road, in April 2006, the same year that he graduated from the University of the West Indies, UWI, with a bachelor's degree in banking and finance. He was called to the office of minister in 2014 and has since been promoted to an elder. Sir Palmer is a firm believer in using your skills and talents to advance God's kingdom, and as such has served in several capacities, including Sunday school teacher for over 10 years, Reach Fund coordinator, and of course, the Reach Fund is the church's outreach financial program, or church's outreach financial program, member of the convocation and church planning committees, as well as a speech choir member, which I'm also a former speech choir member. In his professional life, Sir Palmer has been working in the financial industry for over 15 years, mainly in the field of compliance and risk management. In 2012, Sir Palmer completed his master's degree in enterprise risk management with distinction. Yes, people, distinction. Yeah. Holds other postgraduate certifications. Sir Palmer has been married for over 10 years to Lady Camille Palmer, who we had on one of our Boss Lady series. Hey, Lady Camille, and has 3 daughters. He believes that no one can attain true success operating outside of God's will. Sir Palmer, welcome. Kindly greet our audience.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this discussion. Of course, it is a relevant discussion when you're talking about purpose, looking at marriages and family. And as you alluded to earlier, this attack on marriages and the family as we know it, it's not, a merely thing that is manifested in the physical, but it is really a spiritual one, designed by the enemy. And we, of course, would have identified that as a strategy of the enemy, and hence we are here to have these type of discussion to kind of enlighten and empower persons. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Sir Palmer. So just as a few housekeeping matters before we get into our discussion, everything that we discuss, let me make sure I put it up, everything that we discuss is for informational purposes only. So if you need relationship and marriage counseling, kindly arrange the same. And of course, time permitting, we may have a Q&A session at the end. It will be quite brief because Sir Palmer has a lot to do. I'm very grateful that he created the time. He's extremely busy. Okay, so let's begin our discussion. So let me just take that out here. All right. So the first question, why is it important for us to follow biblical principles regarding the role of the man in the home? Sir Palmer. Because I'm just sitting back and learning now. Because like I say, I might know a whole lot of things, but I don't know the male perspective. Sir Palmer.
I think you'll find that some of the thoughts that you may have on this we might cross at some point in time in terms of what you know versus what I know. But the truth is, the foundation of a family, the foundation of man, we find in the Bible, right? So as to how we go about and treat with whatever situation that is in front of us, it is outlined already in the Bible. The Bible says that there is nothing new under the sun. So if we look at how we were created, man was created, for God's purpose and for us to have relationship with God. And we would have seen the fall of man. Everybody knows the story, Adam and Eve, and disobedience and what would have transpired then. And since that time, the aim is for us to get back to that place where we are close to God. So, but what you would have seen in terms of society and what society has morphed into, and wherever there's the absence of God in a society, it leads to deprivation, it leads to violence, it leads to suffering, it leads to pain. And the closer we get to God and being aligned with His will and His purpose, then of course, the more you will see certain things being manifested. So it is not ideal for man and woman to be against each other. There's no way God created man to live in unity, and we now have competition for some reason. So the biblical principles really are our foundation. It is what we live by. And when we find that, as I said before, we are going far from these biblical principles, then of course the results are not good. So if you look in society today, you mentioned it, the very definition of a marriage is under attack, where persons seem to be confused when God said you should man and woman should come together. Now, persons have decided that there are no more males and females as the Bible spoke about, but they have given different definitions. You can just get up and feel whatever
And
you feel like
decide.
being today. Yeah, you can be whatever you want, and there are so many pronouns that you really can't really understand it. But at the end of the day, all this is primarily as a result of persons seeking to make a connection and to fill a space that is created when there is void of God in their lives. It is the same reason why people take drugs. It is the same reason why some persons get high on different things. It is the same reason why people find time to do so many other things, trying to make and to fill that gap that only God can create, God can fill, unfortunately. So that gap in mankind will still exist perpetually if it is not filled by God. So it doesn't matter what other thing you try to fill it with, whether it be a man having a lot of women, women having a lot of men, women saying their children, they, would be their life. People taking drugs, people taking alcohol for it, alcoholism. There's that need for man to have connection with God. And so we are searching all this time, as is often said, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. You need to come back to the Creator. If you look in the book of Jeremiah, God said He has rivers that will flow everlasting, but we have decided to create cisterns of our own. So we dig a little hole, water fills it up, but it soaks through. But God said He brings everlasting water, and he makes provision everlasting for us. But somehow we prefer the hard way. We don't like to do things easy, and obedience to God also results in us being under certain constraints which we often don't want. So we tend to go against the principles which are laid for us. But as I said before, when you look at the results that comes from us not being in alignment with the principles, of course, we see those results. If you look in society today, if you look at the family, as we are here talking about the family, where now you see so many broken homes, children living with one parent or the other. It is okay for a man to go on and, have 10 different children with 10 different baby mothers. And if you think about the Bible, God is very practical in his approach. The very thing that God commanded us to take rest on a particular day is very necessary. As you said earlier, I'm a busy man and there's one day in the week that I have to take rest. I have to recharge. I have to think. Same thing for the family and how God designed the family. Man, woman, children. At some point in time, it was allowed for man to have wives and concubines. But it was clear when the switch over was made in the Bible and God said, no, a man should have one wife and he should be faithful. If a man has 10 children living in 10 different homes, he cannot be a father effectively to all those children in all those spaces. So somebody else will be that child's father. Is either the stepfather or some pervert or somebody else. Adan, as we know in Jamaica, will fill your role. So really and truly, it's best and it is recommended from my side that we stick to biblical principles. God designed us, He created, and He has given us prescription as to how we should live. Anything outside of that is deprivation, pain, suffering, and lack, poverty, violence, all of the things that we are seeing being manifested before our eyes now. When you think about integrity, in Jamaica, where we are living, it is okay for somebody to be the songs that we hear now, people talking about chop up them being match up the line, right? And scamming is a normal order of the day. I just seen a newspaper article this week or an interview being done with a young man. He stopped going to school because he's scamming now. He said he's making millions. But at what? At somebody's expense. And it's okay. Society has, the songs embrace this type of lifestyle. So the lack or the straying away from the godly principles are now manifesting before our eyes, and this did not happen overnight. I just think about even a bad man when bad man go, them walk with them small Bible in their back pocket because they had the fear of God in them. This is a sign now of things happening as Revelation was saying. People's heart become wax cold. The fear of God no longer in persons. The killings that we see each day in society, it's not by chance. As we said, we recognize that the enemy is deliberate in his approach. You attack the family, you get the man not to be standing and acting and playing the role of a man in the family. There's going to be a breakdown, of course. So it's definitely sticking to godly principles will yield better results. Short term, long term, generations to come.
Thank you so much, Sir Palmer. So, for the other, because that's true, because we can see how the falling away from godly principles and the breakdown of the home and the results that we have a lot of young men who are terrorists, pretty much. So, the second question, what are the key areas that men should focus on to assess how ready they are for marriage and family life? Because a lot of times brothers may, they come to Christ and they feel like, oh, especially in the apostolic faith, it's like, oh, we're going to just pray and the Lord will do it. The Lord will make a way. But the practical part, no. Because, yes, we believe in fasting and prayer, but you can't fast and pray forever. And you definitely can't take little children and go tell them both of them to fast and pray because you never provide nothing. You can't do that with children. So what are the key areas that men should focus on to assess their readiness for marriage and family life?
Well, I find that praying is very practical. So I'll start there. Um, so as I said before, God is very strategic in how he approaches, things and very deliberate in the action. So we take nothing for granted. Um, so you mentioned it in terms of prayer, which is key to developing your spiritual life. Even in the secular world, when you go, for instance, on leadership courses and developing yourself to be a better person generally, and how you can adapt to a changing world. A big part of what is being taught is a connection spiritually, right? So you first and foremost, if you as you said, in a church setting, you are first human, but also there's a spiritual side to you. So you have to feed the spirit man, right? You are the priest and you have to act that way. There's no doubt that your wife will look to you as the head of the house to act in a priestly manner. So you can't, just carry yourself any old way. And definitely your prayer life will lead you in a particular direction. So that's one of the key things I'd say in terms of preparation to get yourself ready. Developing your spiritual man, understanding who you are and whose you are. That's very important. So that would be number one for me. Understand who you are and whose you are. God created us to, be fruitful, multiply, but He created us also to have dominion. And, shivering in fear and, as they say in Jamaica, running with like a dog with your tail between your legs. Don't speak to a position of dominance. And for far too long, our men would have taken a back seat. And, sometimes I feel like we're almost forced to, because it is the way the enemy is going to have his way. Because if you can get the head of the house or the head of the stream, as they put it, to be dirty or not to be acting in the way he should be, then of course it will lead to mayhem. So of course the man must stand in his true purpose. And you talk about preparation for marriage and so on. So if you look at, he says that for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church and his body and himself. We are called, the woman is called to submit, right? And that's sometimes a word that is seen as a bad word in church circles. However, the man is called to an even higher office and higher um, designation in terms of him being the one to love the wife, even as Christ loved the church, which means he should put himself in a position that if necessary, he should die for his wife. All right. So understand that then, it makes it clearer that no sacrifice is too great when you get into marriage. So you understand that it is a significant role that you have, a great responsibility, and you should not take it lightly. So understanding who you are and whose you are is definitely one of the main things that you have to understand as a man. Preparation for marriage. Developing a strong work ethic. Can't be lazy. As you said, some persons just think it will just fall out of the sky, but that's not what the Bible, has called us. If you look in First Timothy, you see, but it says that if anyone does not provide for his relatives, especially for the members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Very dangerous. So men don't expect, yes, the wife is a lawyer, has a good job. Yes, she's a doctor, has a good job, but the role that you play as the head of the house is still relevant, and it still means that you have to be a provider. The Bible says that we should not be slothful. We should have strong work ethic, meaning that whatever area we are called to work in, whatever profession what we are called, do it to the best of your ability. Not everybody is called to be a doctor. Not everybody is called to be a lawyer, accountant. But I find that certain principles still hold. If you are diligent and disciplined in what you do, you'll have success. And for somebody who is a plumber or somebody who is a mechanic, you do a good job, somebody's gonna recommend you. And that's how you get more money. So develop a strong work ethic. It doesn't matter. Don't wait until you get married to think that no, I'm gonna start putting in some work, and kids are on the way, you have to start putting in some work. It might be a little bit too late, because it means that you'll have less time for yourself when you have a family. You need to be putting in the work from now. building your client base, whatever job profession you're in, developing yourself. No, strong work ethic. Also, if you think about, there is a norm that is seen now where persons stay a little longer in their parents' home. And you have persons now over 30 who are in their parents' home. But I would recommend that person get ready to leave and to cleave, right? Leave mother and father and to cleave, right? Know you have built relationship with your parents over the years, but that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says if you are preparing for marriage, then you should be preparing also to leave mother and father and to cleave to your wife. And oftentimes this is a spillover into the marriage where the parents, especially the mothers, still clinging to that child, and the child is of course making leeway for that to happen, and it causes some challenges in the marriage from time to time. So have to get ready to leave and to cleave. There's also something to consider, which is putting away selfish tendencies. It's very difficult for you to operate in a marriage and be selfish. A marriage calls for persons to have a deeper understanding of each other, a deeper love for each other, a deeper commitment for each other, but also it requires a lot of sacrifices. And I'm not recommending sacrifices to the point where you start losing yourself. And, because when persons enter into a marriage, it's one person, two persons, and the Bible has some weird maths. Um, one plus one equal one. Twain shall come together and they shall make one. And that's how God created it. Men and women, we are not substitutes, we are complements. You have your strengths and weaknesses, I have my strengths and weaknesses. And oftentimes when you find in marriages, we don't always share the same strengths and weaknesses. So when you are weak, I am strong. So it makes a perfect match. We make each other better. That's what a marriage is supposed to be, right? So you can't be selfish. Selfish tendencies, have to drop them. And especially, as I said, people living longer apart now, taking longer to get into to being married. So of course, you used to do your thing, and you never had anybody there to answer to. But now you find when you enter marriage, you'll have to tell people where you want to go. So it's about working on yourself, right? It's about working on yourself, getting your act together, because you can't wait until you get married for all of these things to fall into place. And as I said, marriage requires a lot of sacrifices. So the Bible says in Philippians, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others, right? And more so in a marriage. So if you find that both persons are looking after each other, and the next person is feeling it in terms of what the person, and recognize it, and reasonable in themselves, then of course you'll have a better marriage. So my advice, before you enter into the marriage, look at some of the selfish ways that you may have, selfish tendencies, work on those. And it's about working on yourself before you get into marriage. Use your singleness to serve and enjoy life. I want to say that again. Use your singleness to serve and enjoy life. Singleness is not a pity party. You are not worse than anybody else being single. Singleness is a gift, as I often hear. It is truly a gift. I remember, let me get personal. I remember the level of freedom I had before getting married. Not that I'm in bondage now, by no means. But I got busier because of greater responsibility, greater accountability. in church, on my job, having children as a part of the marriage. So you don't have as much time for yourself as I used to. I was at church every single day of the week. So hence me being in a lot of things before I got married. Still do a lot of things now. However, I had more time for myself. So use that time. Don't be pining away and sitting at home looking at the ceiling. Go out and enjoy life. Serve in ministry activities. You're in a church body, serve. Whatever body you are called to, serve in that ministry. Volunteer. Do something that you love. Whatever the passion is, work on your passions. And these days I find that persons use their passion to generate a lot of income. Find out what you're good at. Some people are led in particular direction. Work on those. It's time. You have all the time in the world right now. You're free. Serve others, and enjoy life. Go do something adventurous. Go on some weekends. You can do it by yourself. You can go with friends, and of course you have to be careful. But it's about enjoying life, connecting, and as you do these things, you learn more and more about yourself. And it is not a situation where you go to a relationship empty. Don't go into a marriage expecting happiness from that marriage. You help to make the marriage happy, so you have to enter the marriage as a complete person. Don't expect that you're gonna go into marriage and yeah, that person is going to just make me happy. What a burden you're placing on the other person. So you have to come in that marriage as a complete person. If you're not well, if you need help, get all the help you need to get before you enter into the marriage. Not that you're supposed to be perfect. I'm not by no means saying that you should be perfect. But at the same time, you can't have things that are issues that you need to deal with and wait. Work on yourself. Use your singleness, to work on yourself and make yourself better. Develop, grow, learn new skills. Work on your passion. New streams of income. You'll need that. Definitely need that. Um, so that drives me into to my next point, which is be prudent with your finances. Learn to manage your money. As a man, I remember at one point in time where I was trying some things and they weren't working out. And it meant that, there was a little space, there was a little gap that I didn't have as much money as I'd want to. And it didn't feel good. It didn't feel nice. And I think primarily a man who understands his responsibility within a marriage setting, he's not gonna feel good without money in his pocket. And ladies, sometimes you see the man them not talk, probably no money in them pocket and them feel away. And it is not helpful for you to bash them or to cuss them. It not gonna make it better, right? And men generally don't speak about their issues as often as they really should. They may tell one or two people, but they even sometimes don't tell their wives. But you know, definitely we have to be careful as to managing our finances because some people, for them, it's not about the earnings. They earn, but they just can't keep a dollar in their pocket because they are very poor with finances. So learn how to manage your money. Learn also how to make um to have other streams of income that will, they call it passive income. Passive income, it means that you can sleep in your bed at night and money is flowing into your pocket. Anybody would want that, right? And there are ways and means of doing it. The Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. You're taking care of three generations right away. You, yourself, your children, and their children's, and your children's children, right? You're going to be a blessing. You can be a blessing to your children's children without even not even living to see them sometimes. But the truth is, um, all of this preparation doesn't start in marriage, starts before. Means you're laying a good foundation. So it means you're not gonna mess up your finances before you get married, right? So,
It's
in this day and age where credit score is so important, don't go borrow the people them loan and decide not to pay it back. Because when you come in a marriage and your wife know your wife have good credit score, you know, and you want to go now want to buy a house, only to hear that you took a loan from she and the old lady and you never pay back one. So now your credit score is messed up. You can't buy a house together. Same thing. You can't buy a car, right? So you have to take care of your business, man. As a man, you have to just, man up, take care of your business, handle your business as we say in Jamaica, because at the end of the day, you're sowing seeds now that generations to come will reap. And for a lot of people, I've seen it. They mess up their finances one way or other because there is this need for instant gratification. I remember when I was working, and of course, there are things that when you start working and you start growing as an adult that people ask you about, right? So when I started working, oh, you're not buy a car yet. Oh, you're not driving. You work at a financial institution and you're not driving. In my mind, I'm saying like, if I buy this car, my body will have more gas than the car because I can't afford to put gas in that car. And I see people do it all the time, overextend themselves, trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Trying to, create an impression. As a man, know who you, that's why I said it's important to know who you are. You don't need to impress anybody. You don't need to um try to create any impression or create any reputation that you have more money than you are. It's okay for you to struggle early in your career and not to have as much money as you want. It's normal. In case I didn't tell you, you don't have to buy a car in your first job, in your first year. You don't have to buy a house in that first year either. And don't put any pressure on yourself and to go take any loans and put yourself in debt unnecessarily because you want to please people. There are a lot of persons who have great expectations for you and they'll impose that on you as well. Some of them you have to shake off your back because really and truly, it doesn't make any sense for me to please people. And as a matter of fact, you can't please people because the minute you get that car, next thing that they ask you, so you're not getting married. Don't let nobody rush you into the marriage either because when you close your door with your spouse, they won't be coming in with you, or they shouldn't. But some persons, based on what they decide that they're gonna rent a space in your head, and they're not gonna pay you a single dollar. They're taking a free space. Don't allow it. Be your own person. Stay in your own lane. Do your own thing. Don't have to rush into anything. You don't have to move at the expectation of others. And at this and also you don't have to impose any superficial or any great expectation on yourself that is not realistic. Of course, God can work miracles in your life any day. But outside of a miracle, there are practical things that you need to do to get your house in order. Finances is just one of them. Don't go out and take any high debt. Credit cards can be very good, can be very bad. Um, my first loan that I got was to actually generate some money to put in my pocket. Wasn't to buy a car. Car will come, house will come. But if you put yourself in a bad situation financially, talking about preparation for marriage, this is very important. Finances, a lot of persons have divorced because the finances are not right. The man don't know how to manage money, the woman don't know how to manage money. Somebody's a spender. Somebody just like to spend, or somebody is very conservative. Of course, you can't, not that I'm saying that you should be tight with your money. It just means that you don't put yourself in a position where when you want to push with major purchases, want to make your family better, you're not in a position to. Think about this. Buy assets that can last generations. Land, um, a lot of persons buy Grace products, you buy Alaska products. You can buy equity. And I'm not going too much in the finance side of it, but just some simple tips that you can start investing early. You just started working, you can open a stock account and buy shares for $1,000, as low as that. And if you think about certain investments, this is how people who are wealthy pass on wealth to their generations. So I buy Grace stock. and it might be selling for $100 today. I hold those stocks, whatever I buy, whatever the amounts, and in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, it is $500 for each stock. And I'm giving that to my daughter, one of my daughters, right? If I buy a piece of land and the price has inflated significantly and I'm passing it to one of my daughters. If I bought an apartment and I'm giving it to one of my daughters down the line, you know. But this is how you pass and create generational wealth. It's not the car. The minute you drive out the car mart, it starts depreciated. Learn that. It's not the nice clothes, of course, and I'm not saying you should enjoy life. I strongly believe in working hard and enjoying what you have worked for. Take vacations, take rest, you know, treat yourself, treat your family, and invest in people, time and money. Strongly believe in that. But you know, you have to lay a good foundation for yourself, or don't dig yourself in a hole as it relates to your finances. But you know, those are, you know, some of the things that I consider. I would have said develop a strong work ethic, understand who you are and whose you are. I would have also says get ready to leave and to cleave. Also mention putting away selfish tendencies, use your singleness wisely to serve and to, you know, develop and also to enjoy yourself, but also to be prudent with your finances.
So much wisdom, right, audience? A lot of wisdom. I'm just noting it all. And the good news is that we have the replay, so you can watch a replay as well for all of this wisdom. You know, just in case something slip your mind, you watch the replay. Okay, so I think we've gone a bit into some of the pitfalls in setting a strong foundation for marriage and family. But apart from the financial aspect, are there any other pitfalls that that you believe that men should be aware of that could derail them in setting the right foundation for their marriage and family?
I think I think primarily this would rest around, you know, two main things, right? So one is stereotypes that are out there that a man should be a particular way. Growing up, I heard that, you know, a man should be a gallus, right? Um, I heard that a man should be a gallus. I would have seen my father, and I tell you this, my father, you know, the idea of marriage, the idea of a man and who a man represents or who a man should be. I saw that from my father growing up. So, you know, people always ask me all the time, you know, who is my inspiration, who is my hero? I say my father, because my father is very hardworking, and I would have seen him work very hard to take care of his family. My father didn't believe in giving me luxury, but he gave me fundamentals. He said, "Boy, I won't give you a nice shoe, right? But I'll make sure you have a great education," and that's paramount. So if I wanted a John Sport, I would have had to save to buy that, and I learned that quite early. But if I wanted a normal bag, my father would give me, as long as he could carry my books, right? So I learned some of those early. So the idea of a man, I saw that from my father, but not every man gets to have that type of relationship with their father or see that, you know, and create in their minds who a man should be. So there are stereotypes out there that a man should be a gallus, a man should behave a particular way. And some, to tell you the truth, growing up, I tried the gallus thing, it never worked out for me. I'm too honest, and I can't do the hiding thing, and it's not me. If I was supposed to do it, it would have had to be open and everybody had to know about each other. I can't bother with hiding. And as a big man to be hiding and doing what you're doing, that don't seem right to me. Right? So there are certain stereotypes and there are certain mold that we have created in terms of who a man should be that definitely would affect a lot of men, right? And a lot of men walk around with baggages thinking they're not fulfilling their role or they're not man enough because they are not acting how other men have told them that they should be. When sometimes the truth is the person who is sometimes telling them they're not acting that way either. Because as some of them, if you ever hear the conversations that they have at home with their woman, right? The woman around them head, right? But then you'll never know that. So certain stereotypes you don't get there, right? There's also, you know, so We definitely have to break the mold of what the, and I would say this is the enemy that would have created these stereotypes, right? Um, man, you should be rich. Why, as I was saying, you don't have to be rich to get married. You just have to have the ambition,
Oh, wait.
put your house in
Pick up it
order.
as well. Repeat that, please, Sir Palmer. You don't have to be.
You don't have to be rich to get married. If you was supposed to get rich before you get married, then 95% of the people that would have. I'll tell you, the Bible says that when you get married, there's a blessing in that, and God is going to bless you. My life, my financial circumstances changed significantly after I got married. And worse when we go get twin, three children now. Of course, God is going to provide for me, so my finances are going to
Amen.
improve, right? And it's just working on the principles that God has created. God is going to bless you. It doesn't matter the situation. From He places you in that position, He's going to bless you. And if we are believing in godly principles, God will make a way. He'll provide. He'll create. And ladies, not because it's don't say a man now with all the bells and whistles, he'll get there. Based on some of the points that I would have laid out. If you look in a man and he has ambition, he has a good work ethic, he's disciplined. And discipline is not going on the choir to sing and come down, as we're talking in church setting. A lot of persons are great at church. You need to see them how they operate outside of a church setting. Um, you give them something to do. Are they reliable? I'm not here to bash the men, right? But I'm just saying, look out for some of these things. If the person is unreliable with one task, chances are they're gonna be unreliable with others. If somebody is dedicated, it'll show right across the board, right? So another thing that we need to look at is the thing that we call ego. It sometimes is something that cripples us, and believe it or not, it is also very present. We are humans first. And that's why there are so many instructions in the Bible as to, tell us how to live, how to operate, and it stands as a reminder throughout the ages. Because, not because I'm a Christian, it doesn't mean I don't get angry. Not because I'm a Christian, it doesn't mean I don't have certain tendencies that I have to work on or keep under control, right? And you have to be open with yourself. Identify your weak areas. Men, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to tell somebody that you have a shortcoming. It's okay to say you have a particular weakness. The quicker you identify that weakness, the quicker you probably share it with somebody, and not everything you want to share. But there's a greater possibility that you'll get over it at that point in time. And you work on it. Don't let your ego get in the way of tripping up. Man, it's okay if the lady that you're pursuing want to get married to works more than you. It's okay. When I'm using my own personal circumstances, when I met my wife was a little further in her career than I would be. She was in a middle management or getting to middle management, right? I was an officer. I was not yet in management, but my circumstances changed the very year I got married or just before I got married, right? So, and not because the lady earns, because it is what it is now, how society is these days. Chances are the lady probably earning more money than you. Don't mean that you need to boss her up or you don't need to superimpose yourself. If you know who you are and whose you are, there is no need for you to say, I am the man. You are a man. That's how God created you, right? You don't have to remind the lady ever so often or try to remind persons who you are. It will show, right? So, don't allow your ego to get in the way because, a lot of the times persons who, you hear telling people who they are, they're really trying to, they're lacking in their actions and they try to say it with their words. Somebody said, your action speaks so loudly I can't even hear your words. So, get the ego out of the way, throw that through the window. Doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. And of course, stereotypes, don't take them on. Um, stay in your own lane, live your own life, be who you want to be as God would have it, according to the will of God. Don't try to be anybody else, right? Be your best self. Oftentimes I struggle with creating goals for myself because ultimately I just see myself being the best version of myself. I don't want to be anybody else, and I've never tried to be anybody else. It's impossible. You can't please people. You won't ever get to please people. Be the best version of you. Be the best version of you. So I guess we've touched, but those are some of the main. Other than getting into the very granular as to somebody can mess up their finances, or you can it's about understanding, creating and understanding yourself, your identity, and working on that. Understand who God created you to be, and stay in your lane.
Thank you so much, Sir Power. Thank you. So much, so much wisdom. So when you get it, like you turn on the tap and then all the water coming out, you're like, okay. So I'm just enjoying the information, the wisdom, and just thinking, just in case person be like, oh, should I sit down? No, I'm really observing a lot, and make sure you share this all of this wisdom. Make sure that you share it because our young men need it. Well, sorry, but our young men, especially our men, not just young men need it. So, Sir Palmer, how can men who are already married improve on these areas of weaknesses, especially the ego part, given that we have all of these instances of domestic violence and all of these things? Like, how can our men, not just that area, but how can our men improve on these areas of weaknesses you touched on?
Um, I'll tell you an interesting conversation I had one day with a young man from my community. From a rural community in Trelawney, and I was having a conversation with a young man, and what he said to me blew my mind. He was saying he's in the house with the lady, and they live together. They're not married. But he said to me, sometimes him have to just give her, a couple lick to make sure know say, him a the man,
Okay, then.
right? So I'm telling you that, these stereotypes are real, right? And they're out there. So if a man is married, he's in marriage, and you find that some of the things that you're not living up to, you know, um, are, and we're talking about biblical principles, right? You're not living up to. One of the things I'll say, just do it. Like if you understand, so it's important that we understand first of all what the Bible, has said or set out as to what we should be, right? Or who we should be as a man, right? It is not what society, it is not what a DJ, it is not what a singer say that we should be as a man. First of all, you're working with the master plan. You're working with the master and his plan, right? Because who we are is not what anybody else says. The most important voice or the most important person you should listen to as to who you should be as a man is what the word of God says. And if you look, for instance, in Timothy, there is a mold of a man with great ideals that God has created. First Timothy 3, right? We can examine that. And I'll give you some of the things that are said from there. It says it's speaking about an overseer, but it can be applied, or a bishop, it can be applied right across the board. It says that the man should be somebody who is above reproach. People not supposed to be, saying any and any old thing about them. It says that they should be faithful to their wife, right? So what I'm laying out is the ideal, right? And if a man is not in a position where he knows what the ideals are, then he'll do what he thinks the ideals are, or what somebody imposes. But the word of God cannot lie, and it's always backed up by a witness. Temperate, self-control, respectful. Just like the Proverbs 31 woman, This would be, the ideal setting for the man. Hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but he should be gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him, and he must do in a manner worth of full respect. If any man does not know how to manage his house or his family, how can he manage a church? Right? So, first I would advise men to do is, stick to the ideals, stick to what God has said, not what anybody has said, right? And similar to what I would have said earlier, the egos don't work, right? The egos don't work. Get rid of that. Throw it through the window. God did not create you to get married to somebody only for you to be in competition or fighting. As I said earlier, you're complements. You make each other better, not worse, right? Um, Stereotypes that are out there about, you need to have more than one woman. It's not practical. It's a very costly venture. Have enough woman versus you're hiding. So it's probably you're paying hotel bills, more gas bills to go here, there, and anywhere. Probably have to spend more money here, there, and everywhere. You're taking care of different family in different spaces. You're gonna be a pauper unless you're really, really rich. So it doesn't make any sense. Wake up and smell the coffee, right? Um, it makes more sense just to live the right way. And at the end of the day, think about the seeds that you're sowing for the generation to come. If you consider yourself as a husband, would you want your daughter to date you or a version of you? So that is the impression that you're creating. That is the seed that you're planting. And they have a thing called karma. It does come back to bite you, right? So understand your responsibility as the man. You are the head of the house. You are the protector, the provider. That has not changed, you know, even though what we're seeing manifested in society may look like, but God's word has not ordered it to be any different. So you just have to get closer to the principles and work with them. Good thing that you should do as a man, get an accountability partner. Get somebody who will keep you in line. Get somebody who is not gonna put up with your foolishness and gonna be a yes man, right? Some persons are gonna tell you the truth. Some You need somebody who is gonna be in your corner, who has your back, and tell you the truth when you're doing foolishness. When you're slipping up, somebody will say, man, say you're wrong though. When you go to him and tell him, say, boy, the wife now going good or she not doing this or you're not doing that, and the man say, but what you do? And what you would explain. If you're in the right, then probably him say, boy, say you're right, but at the end of the day, you need to work on it or whatever. But if you're wrong, the man will say, yo, foolishness you're going with. Your wife, we don't want to believe your wife this time, right? So you need somebody who is there to kind of keep you in check, right? And you also need to be honest with yourself at the end of the day. Be honest with yourself. So, those are my, advice as it relates to that.
Okay, thank you so much. Like I said, just so much info, so much knowledge, and just wisdom. So, what are some of the resources, like people, places, things that men can access to ensure that they exceed the requirements for marriage and family life? You had mentioned, you had said the word of God, which is paramount, and also having an accountability partner. So, are there any other resources that men can access to ensure that they exceed the requirements? Because it's not just enough to just meet it, just like that, but we want to be excellent in everything, so exceed the requirements for marriage and family life.
I missed that part about it exceeded. But yeah, correct. You can exceed. As kingdom citizens, we should aim for that. So of course, the Bible is the first place I would send you. Um, I'd also ask persons to, read leadership books. There are several writers out there, the John Maxwell of this world, the Miles Monroe of this world, T.D. Jakes of this world. There are other authors, that you, because naturally men are leaders, right? And there is some leadership you might, a lot of person might not. Leadership is about influence, and if somebody is not leading from the front, they can be leading in the middle or leading in the back, right? So leadership is about influence. So even if you don't see a man and you don't think he's a leader, check his level of influence. He might have a group of people that he's leading or influencing in a particular direction. So it's about identifying the leader in you and bringing that out and channeling it in the right direction, because a lot of people are leading people in all different type of directions, right? So as I said, many writers out there that you can lean on. There are YouTube pages. There are, and in the information age that we're living in, there are so many things that you can hold on to just read and develop yourself. YouTube, Miles Monroe has a lot of information on YouTube. TG Jakes, the same thing. John Maxwell. The books are many that you can read. I have a book that I've not quite finished it yet.
What? So I'm gonna have to bring it back up.
No, the book is called, I think I'll show you what this is the name of the book.
Oh wow! Congrats.
It's not my book, it's I'm
Okay.
reading, right? So the book is called The Compound Effect. Jumpstart your income, your life, and your success. And while anybody can read it, but as a man, it's touching some of the things that I would have spoken about in terms of your income. But just you as a person, it is a compound effect. And if you think about, people always talk about compounding interest and how it has a ripple effect where it just grows and grows. It is the same way in terms of you applying certain things in your life. Very good read as a man. Yeah, you can check that one out. I'm not sure it's in you can get it on Amazon and all of those lovely sites.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Palmer. We've come to the end of our discussion.
Yeah.
So we're going to have, I see I have some persons in the audience. So we're going to have a brief Q&A session. Please be sure to type the word question before writing your question in the chat. So we're going to have the Q&A session now. Let me see, I see one comment. Ah, Crafty Chris. Oh, yes, Lady Crystal. I'm aware of this book. It's in my Audible wish list. Okay, then it's in your
So,
Audible
so,
wish
so go
list.
and get so go and get it. It's a phenomenal book.
Okay.
Life-changing type of book, I must say.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything else pop up. So, persons, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. And even if you're a lady and you have a question, remember, a lot of times we think of the way how we are seeing things or the way how we perceive things, it's not quite so. So even if you're a lady here, you're like, oh, I'm sitting in this session and you have a question, you can post it in the chat. Because it just helps. Like I said, we come up with our ideas of how we think things should be, and that's not the way how a gentleman sees things. So you can put your question in the chat. It would be nice if I could see if persons were typing, but I can't see it until you press send. Okay, then. Thank you. Hey, Lady Sanique. Hi. All right. So she says, question: why is ego so important to men? Oh no, I think I lost. Elder. Where did he go? Okay, it's coming back in. It's coming back in. Okay, so I don't know what just happened there. Now the question start pouring. All right, so Lady Sanique says, question, why is ego so important to men? That's what Lady Sanique is asking. Shanique.
Right, and so we might need to add that to one of the wonders of the world, right? And I think the ego is tied to position our person's thinking they ought to be acting in a particular manner. So I'm supposed to be. So anything that is not within that line, then of course I'm gonna make it known. But it's about positioning and people
feeling a self of importance. And it's also tied to the word ego and arrogance come in the same field. And when people feel that their importance or place a certain importance on certain things, because for instance, if somebody believes, um, for instance, that a certain title should be ascribed to your name. My position is an elder, but every time you see me, you need to be calling me elder, right? Is a certain level of importance that is attached to that. And it also creates a separation where persons think that they are sometimes better than others, or they're thinking more highly of themselves than they ought to. So hence the ego, right? And persons like their egos to be stroked. They want people to tell them that they're the best. They want to tell them people to tell them that they're it. And for me, sometimes, even though it might come across as confidence, it's a certain level of insecurity. Because if you need somebody else to validate who you are, and then you're in serious trouble. Um, I am I'm not in any way, shape, or form insecure about anything. I don't need anybody to validate anything about me or for me. So I'm not gonna impose my importance in any area on anybody else. And I think, as I said, it comes back to people wanting to feel important and wanting others to acknowledge them as important and to treat with such. And of course, they want the egos to be stroked. I'm probably not the best person to talk about egos because I never understood it and I've never understood it. So, but, from my observation, I think, people want to feel important and they want other people to make them feel that important. And I guess that's why it's important to them. And some men in their house, they must have them stand up, they must put down them foot in their house and make them wife know that them are the man, as if the woman never knew that from day one.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Pava. So before we move on to the next question, I know that you're getting a lot of value from this session. So whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, be sure to like and share because it's all about sharing the information, sharing the wisdom so that we can all be better. So now we have Lady Crystal, and she's asking, how do I support my husband if he has not yet found out what he wants to do?
Um, Sounds like you're on the way already. So the truth is, um, not everybody gets up and they are just fully aware of what they want to do in life or who they are in life and what they really should be doing. And I tell you the truth, when you have persons around you who are supportive, it makes a world of a difference. Quite a bit of the things that I would have done. I remember when I was looking, searching for a job, a new job, and I remember my wife helping me through the process, giving me her car. I wasn't driving at the time to drive from interviews because I had to be wearing suit and taking taxi and going on bus. It would be cute and being hot in those things. I remember her giving me her car to drive. I don't think we were married as yet, but she would have loaned me the car to go, different places. I guess she knew that she would be benefiting. But it does a lot when a woman is supportive. So and don't crafty Chris, don't you know there are ways women are skilled in many ways, and I tell you guys have many more power than you actually know, right? So there are ways that a woman can tell a man to do something without actually telling how to do it, right? Or telling him what to do. Um, so find ways to ask questions. Or have you ever thought about doing so and so, right? Whatever the suggestions may be, rather than saying, I think you should have do. A man don't take killing to, getting those type of things. It's just a man thing. I really can't understand it, right? So he will be stubborn and he will push back if you give him um what to do as opposed to be asking him, making him feel as if he has the option or he is actually making the suggestion or he has a choice rather than imposing a particular thing on him. So the discussions can be lighter because if him start give pushback, then the conversation, right? So the conversations will be a part of it, right? And whatever you research, you can think, and then you can ask him, what are some of the things that you like, right? Because a lot of people don't realize that some of the things that you're passionate about is the thing that you'll give the most energy to, right? And when you're doing it, it doesn't even feel like work sometimes, right? Create create the thought of doing something that you actually like or passionate about as something that you want to do. The business ideas come up, you share a business idea that you may have, whatever it may be. And if you need money to do and so, if you have the money, we can work on it with you, that type of thing. So, it creates a different atmosphere rather than saying, boy, so this not gonna work out. I mean, I think so you should do whatever. If he wants to do something, let him try it. Let him fail. It's within failing and failing and failing. And he's probably not gonna fail so many times that you really get to know what you really want to do. Because tell you the truth, the field that I ended up in, I just knew that from I was growing up, I was I was good with money. I would save, I would buy things. When persons were playing on the football field or cricket field, me used to make sky juice, as we call it in the country, and go sell them. Right? I used to get my money, I used to buy my shoes and I want to buy my bag. So I was always inclined in that era, right? But doing finances or whatever, I never really like accounts, so I know I wouldn't do that. I like analytics, I like thinking, so I was more like in the econ era. It's trial and error, and I like me have this thing in my mind. When I was leaving high school, I would have gone on to community college, done an associate degree. Did I know what I was going to do after that? No. I just know that when I was there, somebody recommends say, you can use the associate degree and get into UE, or you can go work. I could get a work at the bank using an associate degree and I could go on to do whatever. Somebody want to work in a bank, someone want to work in a financial institution. Did I know that I want to do a degree and to do a master's after? No. We don't always have it figured out. But with every step of the process, somebody was supporting me. My mother would have said, anything you wanted to do, we will assist you. Right? So I went on to university, three years. After that, doing my master's, I said that the high school, the associate degree, and the degree was for my parents because they were supporting me. My master's was just for me. I just wanted to do something, and hence me doing enterprise risk management. But what I'm saying at the end of the day, Crafty Chris, we don't always know what we want to do, and we are always not. Some persons are just fortunate to end up in a field that they like, and they just want to work with it. There are others, based on their skill sets and what they want to do, it might be a little bit more difficult. But the truth is, we're gonna try things, we're gonna fail. Don't be afraid to fail. It's not everything I've tried worked out. I remember buying a bus to put on the road, only to find that I can't get the vehicle insured because the vehicle was in a crash and all one long story. So that never worked out. Move on to something else, right? So allow him to try things, to fail, and be right there supporting him. At the end of the day. So, um, that's how it is. We're allowed not to be perfect.
Okay, Lady Crystal says thank you. Smiley face. Amen. So I'm not seeing any more questions, but come on, please show your appreciation in the comment section to our amazing guests because I'm telling you a lot. Sometimes I ask persons call the show dead. I'm like, ooh, I never thought of that before. And I just sit and just observe all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom. And that's what happened this afternoon. So yes, so we have Lady Shanique saying thank you, thank you. Lady Shanique Sadler, she's saying thank you. All
I
right.
recognize the name. I hope it's the same person. So,
Yeah, the same person with it.
big up Shadi.
The same person, but I was calling her some other name. I wasn't pronouncing the H in her first name. I don't know why, but Yeah, things the Lord is glorified. All right, so we have come to the end of conversations with Sophia for Christ for this afternoon, and I'd just like to express my appreciation, my deep gratitude, our deep gratitude to Sir Lerone Palmer because he's really busy. So whenever persons come on this platform, it's not that all them have time for just to not come. They are sacrificing a lot of time, and Sir Palmer really he should be resting because this is the extended weekend. He should be resting. He runs really hard
Yes.
and extensively for his family, and he has shared so much wisdom with us. I'd like to thank my live audience for being here and staying with us thus far. For those of you watching the replay, thank you for watching to the end. Those of you who are here, okay, go and watch the replay. It will be on the platform. And I see some comments further coming in. Oh, so Lady Shanique says, it's me. I'm going to do my Sunday school homework.
Yes, you should.
Actually, oh, she in your class. Okay.
Yes.
And Lady Camille Palmer, great interview, Eldo. Used to like it when we bring on either the male or the female in a marriage. And because when she was on, Lady Camille was on, he was there under another name, cheering her on. I'm like, who this, who this? But she's saying, great interview, Elder. Yes, Lady Camille, big up yourself. Excellence all the way. Palmer Dynasty in effect. So I thank you so much for the time that you've sacrificed to share with us. Sir Palmer, I pray that the Lord will just continue to bless and prosper you, Lady Camille, your amazing daughters. I'm not call out them name because then they'll tell me tomorrow, whatever, because they have been putting me under pressure to spell their names correctly. But yes, little princesses. Yeah.
Yes.
I pray that the Lord continue to bless and keep you all, not just in this 2022, but beyond. And you'll even realize all of His blessings, all of the words that He has spoken to you guys, that it will manifest and come into fruition in the name of Jesus. So I thank you all very much. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Sophia for Christ. Make sure that you're following also on Facebook and Instagram, also at Sophia for Christ, to get daily encouraging, at least for Instagram, daily encouraging scriptures and insights as the Lord would have me to share. So we are going to close out now. I don't know if you have any final remarks, Elder, before we close out.
So I just want to big you up on this show that and the content you're pushing. I'm sure persons are feeding and learning and growing as a result. Of course, the Lord would have given you a vision, and I'll just encourage you to continue on this path. It might not be the biggest platform right now, but that's not even the vision or the mission. It's about feeding people. It's about creating a space where persons can grow. So just continue to do the good work. Continue to extend yourself to God and being a vessel, and may God shine His light on you, your ministry, as you grow and continue to be a blessing to the body of Christ. God bless you. God bless everyone who is watching. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this time of sharing. When you have somebody who doesn't like to talk and you get them to talk,
Oh, we never had that thought that you didn't like to talk at all. We thought that you loved it. Lady
to be honest,
discussion, blessings.
Growing up, if people in my community who know me see me talking like this, they'll be amazed. Because growing up, I was a silent person. I think I was probably storing up to unleash later on. But if I don't have to talk, I'll keep silent. And so I like to observe on this.
Okay, thank you so much for the words of encouragement, Sir Pam. I really appreciate it. Thank you to our lovely audience. Once again, those of you here live, those of you watching the replay, like, share, comment, subscribe. All the things are going to close out now until we meet again for Gratitude Mondays at 6:30 p.m. Jamaican time. And yeah, we're closing out. So bye.